Hello and welcome to Move 37, your daily brief on the sharpest edges of technology and business. And here are today's top stories. The US and China agreed to a 90-day tariff truce and markets rallied. The US and China have agreed to a 90-day pause in the trade wars, reducing reciprocal tariffs by 115 percentage points. US tariffs on Chinese goods have dropped from 145% to 30%, while China's tariffs on US goods decreased from 125 to 10%. The announcement led to significant gains in global markets, with the Dow Jones rising over 2% of the tech stock rally. This is in the news everywhere, and a big shock, actually, that has happened so quickly and so significantly. The Chinese, of course, it is a 90-day pause, and so the Chinese do have a chance to readjust. This gives everyone a chance to work on leveling the playing field. This is exactly what we wanted from the tariff talks and the trade wars. So good things to come. I think this really helps the Chinese. It helps Xi Jinping look good with his country and his citizens. It also paves the way for them to have a good fourth quarter for the Christmas season, and also helps President Xi recover from kind of a nosedive and losing our market. So these are temporary. This is a 90-day pause. They're not agreed to after 90 days. It will go back to what it was prior to today, so back to what it was on Friday. And already the Dow Jones has recovered all the losses that it had since Liberation Day on April 2nd. So this is kind of to the attributes of Trump's genius, the trade talks. It has been scary. It still is scary. We're not out of the woods yet by any means, but it's definitely a good sign to various sectors. There's good growth opportunities for various sectors, and also certainly the opportunity for sectors to build on their growth and to increase their profits. A lot of folks were quite worried and declaring doom and gloom and the end of the world kind of stories and scenarios. This is a good sign. The EU will be more difficult. It will be harder to negotiate. They're a little less centralized, not all under Xi Jinping. They're all under various countries and various leadership. President Trump also announced today that the US will be paying what other countries pay in the world for drugs. And that'll be also a very big opportunity for Social Security, for Medicare, all the rest of those, and even insurance companies down the road to charge people what they charge worldwide. Our second story is the Apple stock surge on tariff relief faces severe services challenge. So Apple stock rose 6.3% today to $210.79 following the US-China tariff truce, alleviating concerns over the $900 million anticipated tariff-related costs. However, Apple's services division faces challenges, including legal rulings affecting the App Store fees, an antitrust case against Google's default as the search engine, that deal there, which could impact a $20 billion annual revenue stream. According to many sources, Apple has decided to fight or wage wars on various levels with both its developers and with the EU. What it's doing to developers is not maybe acknowledging their role in the success of Apple and the success of the iPhone. Many developers are seeking to cut Apple out of their revenue stream. So Apple takes 30% on anything sold on the App Store. That's really quite normal if you look at several other quote-unquote stores or places where you can buy apps and services. Say, for instance, on any of the game console services, they look for a 30% cut. And Apple has every right to charge what they charge for access to both the iPhone and the services offered in the App Store. Things have gotten competitive, and in the EU is looking to force Apple's hand and is looking to take some of that back. I anticipate that Tim Cook and Donald Trump will work together to fight the EU. I think one of the things the EU is showing is that they are biased in their own favor. They're not necessarily playing fair either. So Apple needs to kind of level up and offer more, and the EU needs to be more reasonable. I think that is something that can happen and should happen. It's a difficult balance between the two. I think in the end, developers will get a little bit more of what they deserve and will be a little more in balance. And Apple will probably have to show a bit of a loss or have to cover those losses elsewhere, hopefully in services. I do hope that doesn't mean Apple will say, oh, because the App Store issue in the EU, we're now going to charge more for Apple Plus, or we're going to do this or that. I do think in the end, Apple's not going to look to be have their profits cut into. That's very difficult for a company on the U.S. stock exchange to show that they're losing money. And as long as you're increasing money, it is something the stock market greatly rewards. And it doesn't matter why you're losing money. If you are losing money, which Apple would be showing if they cave to all the demands of the EU, they're going to face a backlash on the stock market, and their price will be impacted. So more to come on that. I think this is probably a fight that will last several years. And in the end, hopefully, everyone gets a little bit of what they want, and everybody gets a little bit, has to give a little bit of what they want. So so I think there are three partners in this triangle. It's the customer, both nationally and internationally. I think those are maybe two different stakeholders. Then there's the developers, and then there's Apple. I think Apple has been the lead success story here, and hopefully the EU punishing Apple does not mean Apple will punish its customers with higher prices. Our third story is President Trump leads U.S. business delegation to Saudi Arabia. President Trump is visiting Saudi Arabia with a delegation of top U.S. business leaders, including the CEOs from Amazon, NVIDIA, Citigroup, BlackRock, Tesla, and Palantir. The Saudi-U.S. Investment Forum aims to secure approximately $1 trillion in deals, focusing on sectors like AI, energy defense, and manufacturing. So according to a Business Insider, this is something that is quite substantial. One of the side deals is that one of these groups in Saudi Arabia is looking to give President Trump or pay for Air Force One and give the presidency a $400 million check to buy the Air Force One. Some of that is a bit tricky. We'll see how that comes out, but certainly Democrats are looking to say this is foul play, that President Trump is taking a bribe. I don't see it that way. It's not a bribe. It's not his airplane. The airplane will fly, could probably fly for 40 years, but certainly be in service for at least 20, well beyond the president's tenure, what he's got left of 3 years or 3.5 years. This really is a boon. And, if you can save $400 million and not pay for it yourself, I don't understand why anyone would complain there. But certainly it is something that Democrats want to make hay about. I don't see us giving back the Statue of Liberty, even though that was a very expensive gift as well, and has been a great tool for the United States and was for the American people, just as this Air Force One is for the American people, to allow its leader to travel as they might. Moderna merged tech and HR departments amid an AI integration. So Moderna has combined its technology and human resource department into a single function to adapt to rapid AI advancements. The recognition led by Chief People and Digital Technology Officer Tracy Franklin follows the creation of over 3,000 customized AI agents in partnership with OpenAI. The company also announced a 10% reduction in digital technology roles. I think this goes along with what we're seeing in a lot of places, is that AI is looking, not AI itself, but the implementation of AI within companies is putting people's jobs at risk. The word on the street is that by 2030, so 5 years from now, AI will replace a good portion, I think up to 30 or 40% of technology workers' daily tasks. Likely is that going to be that's going to be something that many companies will use to do reduction in force, to streamline their costs by cutting labor. And that's something that Congress needs to be watching for and looking to ensure that we don't have companies that are run by very small numbers of people and a large number of people out of work just because AI can do almost everything people can do now. Our fifth story is the Telstra appoints Microsoft's Australia head as CEO of AlphaGo. Telstra has named its Steve Worrell, current head of Microsoft Australia, as CEO of its infrastructure business AlphaGo. Worrell will oversee Telstra's data center towers and $1.6 billion intercity fiber network. The move strengthens Telstra's partnership with Microsoft, which includes deploying 14,000 kilometers of new fiber cabling. Anytime fiber is being deployed, I think that is a boon for mankind, a boon for those in that area where fiber is being extended. This is wonderful news and helpful to everybody that's impacted by this. I would say, just as any place that doesn't have that, any dark spots, so to speak, will suffer. There will be places where you can't do work. I think more and more as work evolves online, as meetings evolve online. One of the things that COVID did, for example, is that meetings have moved to person is online in many cases. Meetings where you need to see facial expressions or you need to read body language, all of that has become much easier with the advent of Zoom, with Teams, all the rest of the conference call services tools that are out there. Since COVID, really, they have expanded and improved greatly, and the access and network and speeds have all improved. And that is all impacted travel, as we've said previous episodes. Travel has rebounded. There's more personal travel out there. There's more travel to destinations, let's say. So maybe you're not going to go to a random city in France, but you might go to a beach town and see the sights. So things are definitely adjusting and shifting. I think fiber, again, makes the difference. If you don't have that access, it's going to greatly slow down any kind of opportunities in terms of growth, in terms of business, in terms of communication. And as we become more connected and need more communication and more instantaneous, that is the route that we will be taking. Our sixth story is AI's growing influence on corporate communication. Companies are increasingly using AI tools like Anthropic's Claude and Finbert to analyze and craft corporate communications. Raspberry Pi CEO Evan Upton utilized AI to adjust the tone of the company's annual financial statement, highlighting AI's role in shaping public perception. However, concerns arise over the potential loss of unique corporate language and the need for regulatory guidance. This is according to a story from the Times. That's quite amazing that there is a CEO already giving guidance using an AI, using it to write and adjust the tone of their message for annual reports. I think corporate language may become less unique. There may be more boilerplate sort of language in what we see. I think a lot of times it already is quite boilerplate. So this will just mitigate more and more of that to become very standardized. Quantum computing startup Classic, spelled with a Q, raises $110 million. So Israeli quantum computing startup Classic secured $110 million in mid-stage funding round to advance its quantum software platform. The company plans to scale its customer base and partnership with major tech firms like Microsoft, NVIDIA, and AWS. It's always great to see companies from at an international level raising money and making progress. Classic securing $110 million is building out a good runway. They can scale their base in terms of what customers they have and their partnerships that they're offering. All good stuff. Tech stocks enter bull market as NVIDIA and Tesla soar. So again, the big news today has been the stock market. The Dow again over 1,000 points has corrected what it's done since the Liberation Day, April 2nd drop. And tech stocks have entered into a bull market with significant gains led by NVIDIA and Tesla. The rally is attributed to the investment optimism following the U.S.-China tariff truce with a strong earnings report for major tech companies, according to the news from AOL. I would like to see companies build out their portfolios and to grow. This is day one of a quote-unquote recovery or stabilization. Let's see a few more days. Let's see a few more weeks. Let's get a trend going before we celebrate too largely. Story number 9, CrowdStrike and Palo Alto Networks highlight cybersecurity boom. Cybersecurity firms like CrowdStrike and Palo Alto Networks are experiencing growth amid increasing cyber threats. Investors are viewing these companies as key players in the golden age of cybersecurity, driven by the rising demand for digital protection. So as more companies move online, I think it's really just quite obvious that companies are going to need security to protect themselves. All the growth that we've had, all the good things, there's just as much growth in the quote-unquote dark world or people interested in doing bad things. So it's always good to have top-of-the-line companies like CrowdStrike and Palo Alto Networks beefing up their strategies and building out their capabilities in keeping things secure, keeping companies safe from ransomware, from attacks, from hacking, all the rest of that. And our last and final story is the intelligent cloud technology transforming modern businesses. So intelligent cloud technology is revolutionizing business operations by streamlining decision-making, automating complex workflows, and enhanced customer experience. Companies are leveraging AI and cloud computing to drive innovation and maintain competitive advantages. I think these leveraging AI and cloud computing just enable companies and workers to do more with less and to do it cheaper. These are all good things. The automation is great. These are all wonderful. We want to make sure and ensure that companies are reinvesting in their teams and then in their people so that they can continue to deliver innovative progress along the way, and that they can improve not only the lives of their customers, but also the lives of their employees, which ultimately keep them in business. That's according to the Forbes report for today. And so that's it for today's Move 37. Stay sharp, stay curious, and we'll see you tomorrow with more insights from the intersection of innovation and disruption.